How you decide to market your brand is how you show up in the world. Just Marketing is committed to making a difference through being and building inclusive, accessible, anti-racist, compassionate businesses. If we haven't met yet, my name is Meg Brunson, and Just Marketing combines my passion for accessibility and inclusivity with my expertise in the digital marketing space. Let's do this. Have you ever tried to shop online? You found a really cute outfit and wondered what it would look like on your body, only to have no benchmark whatsoever to work with. Let's say you're like me, you consider yourself a bigger-bodied person, and the only photos that the clothing brand provides online are of thin models, so you have no idea how it's going to fit on your curves. Or vice versa, and maybe less common, but still possible. You have a relatively thin body, and yet the only images available online are those of voluptuous plus-size models. And again, how is this going to look on your body? If you've had this experience, you know how real this struggle can be. Either you order the thing anyway because it's seriously so cute, it arrives, and you end up wholly disappointed because it doesn't fit at all the way you hoped it would. Or you don't even try because you want to avoid that whole in real life disappointment altogether. Now, let's just say with our example, you do decide to move forward. You decide you're going to purchase it. And with all your fingers and toes crossed, you hit that checkout window only to discover it is in a language that you don't understand. And Google Translate has taken the day off, so don't think that you can rely on them. You're trying to figure out what the deal is here. What is the return policy? But you can't figure anything out because you can't read the content on their website. Are you going to complete the purchase? Are you going to track down another website with an almost equally as cute outfit? Or did you just complete the purchase and hope for the best, hope you don't have to return it, hope it's easy? Will you ever shop there again? This is precisely what it's like for people who have to try to navigate this digital world that we're all so embedded in without proper accommodations. If you're not inclusive and accessible in your marketing, you are actively repelling people who want to do business with you. Not only is it bad marketing, it's just downright being a bad human, right? If you're not sure if you fit into this category, or if you want to make sure that you never fit into this category of inaccessible, non-inclusive marketing, then Just Marketing is for you. So let's get clear. What is Just Marketing? Just stands for justice, right? Just. And my definition of justice is it encompasses diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. All right. So I define Just Marketing as promoting your business in a way that, number one, prioritizes accessibility and inclusivity. Number two, values people over profits. And number three, evaluates all campaigns and strategies through an equity-centered lens. Just Marketing is genuine marketing for all people. There are two elements of this type of marketing that is most relevant in our world today. That's inclusivity and accessibility. So we're going to talk about those two elements and why they matter, and also how you can incorporate them into your Just Marketing strategy. So why does inclusivity matter in marketing? We could say it's just to be a nice person and be sensitive to the needs of all groups of people in your market. That would be a quick conversation. However, marketing through a DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion lens, a DEI lens, can seem rather layered and nuanced to many. They just don't know how exactly to go about it, but that certainly doesn't mean that they shouldn't try. Here's why. 75% of Gen Z consumers say that they'll boycott companies that are discriminating against race and sexuality across advertising campaigns. All right, so if we're not being just, we are going to be boycotted. 2/3 of women will skip ads if they feel the ads negatively stereotype women. I feel like this kind of makes sense, right? It's kind of a does statement, especially for me. If I feel that I'm being stereotyped negatively, I am not only going to skip those ads, I'm going to remember that company and I'm not going to do business with them. There's a reason why I have a McDonald's cup next to me and not a Chick-fil-A cup or not a Carl's Jr. cup, all right? That's a very intentional decision on my part. Now, in 2019, a couple of years ago, a survey found that 64% of all respondents took some action after seeing an ad they considered to be diverse or inclusive. So this is a positive spin, right? If you are taking the extra step, if you are being intentional about being inclusive and accessible and diverse in your content, people are more likely to take action with you. Now, that action may not be making the purchase that you hope that they would make, right? But it may be liking, commenting, or sharing your content. It may be keeping your brand in mind when they are ready to make a purchase that your brand can provide for them. All right. More than 4 in 5 buyers say they would rather buy from a more diverse sales organization than a less diverse sales organization when both have equal offerings. Again, I can promise you this is true. This is something that I actively do when I'm introduced to a new software or SaaS company or anything like that, a new product or service. I will go and look at their team. Who makes up their team? Is their team diverse? And if it's not, I will look at their competitors and I'll start to weigh which company, by looking at the diversity of their team is one way that I can pulse check if that company and that business is aligned with my values. So just to reiterate, especially with those last two stats I read off to you, in layman's terms, if you want to run a sustainable business in today's market, you should consider making your marketing more inclusive. Plus, it's just a good human-centered approach to business and life. Now let's shift gears and talk a little bit about accessibility, which is kind of the other element of a just marketing strategy. According to the World Health Organization, an estimated 15% of the population lives with some form of a disability, and approximately 2.2 billion people worldwide have some form of vision impairment, and about 5% of the global population is deaf or hard of hearing. So if I fit your ideal client avatar, but I'm deaf or hard of hearing, what then? How do I navigate the online world and access your digital content on, say, your social media, on your podcast, your videos? Well, disabilities like deafness, vision impairment, or physical disabilities, like depending on a wheelchair, are relatively visible. Many disabilities are not. Those who walk through life with them should not be denied accessible marketing simply due to the fact that you don't know they're disabled. That doesn't mean they shouldn't have accessible options available to them, right? There are also permanent, temporary, and situational disabilities to take into consideration. Someone who's born without the use of their legs lives with a permanent disability, while someone who suffers from an ear infection and their hearing is impaired as a result experiences a temporary disability until that infection heals. Accessibility in marketing matters because it's not only the right thing to do, and at the end of the day, by implementing accessible marketing, you will expand your reach and your audience, making a more positive impact in your industry. So let's talk about why a shift to just marketing is just necessary. Number 1, kindness and compassion. Look, ultimately you are selling to people. It does not matter whether your business is B2B or B2C. It's all fundamentally H to H, human to human. Just marketing should have always been the norm in marketing, but here we are in the 21st century still talking about it. It's long overdue. We need to be kind. It's not that hard. Number 2, increased reach. By making your content more accessible, you can avoid excluding a sizable portion of your audience and missing out on important conversations, connections, and conversions. Just marketing means more of everything you want for your business. Number 3, let's talk about legality and compliance. Did you know most digital accessibility lawsuits focus on the websites of brands and companies? It's also very likely that social media platforms and apps will soon begin to face legal scrutiny as well. In my opinion, it is best not to take chances on a business you've worked so hard to build. Don't you think? Let's be proactive and not reactive. Even if a law doesn't exist, we need to think about the fact that a law may exist in the future, and let's prepare for that scenario. There's also the Americans with Disabilities Act, also abbreviated as the ADA, which was passed in 1990. Now, 1990 was well before most modern digital platforms existed. However, in 2019, there was a ruling issued stating that the ADA can, in certain instances, also apply to websites and apps of businesses. At least 22 other countries, including the US, have governmental policies related to web accessibility. This is something we need to start paying attention to, not just because it's the right thing to do, but also because there are legal implications that are here and or coming. So if your business pays taxes because the law says so, then perhaps you should also be switching to a just marketing strategy because the law kind of tells you to do that too. Now, let's talk about the advantages of just marketing. Not only do you reach a wide range of your market and generate more revenue for your business, but you're going to avoid any legal interference in your business. You're going to build a relatable brand image. You're making the world a better place. And the disadvantages of just marketing. Can you think of any? I got nothing. So let's talk about how you can practice just marketing. It's really not that hard. It requires that you make simple tweaks to your existing marketing strategy, but when all is said and done, you will have a far more equitable and accessible business. Here are some quick suggestions for accessible marketing. Caption your videos to allow deaf and hard of hearing people to conveniently access your content. I mean, even you may have sometimes watched a YouTube video or Facebook video with the captions on at some point. That was a choice, but for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, it's their only option. So make sure we're captioning those videos. Now, one tip for inclusive marketing, use pronouns like they, them to recognize the growing number of people who prefer non-binary messaging that is free of gender constraints. The landscape of gender identity is fluid, and we should be equally as fluid in our marketing and messaging. Just 2 quick ways that you can practice just marketing today. Now, just marketing does not come naturally to everyone. Definitely not. And change is always intimidating and scary. However, we need to make sure that we are intentionally making this shift in order to be more inclusive, equitable, and accessible in our marketing. We have made just marketing accessible to you, however you prefer to consume your content. Subscribe and listen on your favorite podcast player. Subscribe on our YouTube channel to watch the videos or read our transcriptions on the blog, and you can subscribe there as well. We'd appreciate honest reviews wherever you are listening. And of course, if you would share this content with anyone who is or should be on a just marketing journey. Thank you so much for being with us again today. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.